All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you are watching this Facebook Live. This is the voice and the face of Dr. Tolu Olabinton, CEO, founder, Living Spring Family Medical Center here in the awesome city of Mansfield, Texas. And I got to tell you, if you can't tell by my face, I'm super excited to be doing this live again. And this time we're talking about how to set and keep our goals for 2023 spirit, soul, and body. And I am honored and super stoked to have the one and the only Dr. Nneka Unachukwu, also known as Dr. Una, here with us. Doctor, thank you so much for coming. I am honored and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this. I even got my best mic for you, just for you.
Awesome, 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 awesome. All right, Doc. For those who are watching, and I did give a little intro in the descriptive of the live, but please, who are you and what do you do?
So I am Dr. Una. I am a pediatrician by training. I'm a wife. I've been married for 16 years. I have four lovely kids. Now two teenagers. My son turned 13 yesterday, so two teenagers and two little ones. And I am a serial entrepreneur. I have my private practice, which was my first business. I run EntreMD, which is a business designed to help doctors build 6, 7, 8-figure businesses. And I'm an author. I'm a podcaster. I co-pastor a church with my husband, member of the Forbes Business Council, regular contributor to Forbes. And I do all the things, all the things.
Yes, you do, and I'm so glad I allowed you to introduce yourself because it was a lot, and you're also a coach, you're a mentor, you're a teacher, you're an advocate, I mean, you are amazing, and you're also one of my mentors. So I'm so honored that you would grace us with your presence this morning, and that segues, Doc, into the next question. Like, why do you do all the things you do? Why? That's a lot, but why?
Well, I think ultimately, I want to die empty. I know it sounds a little morbid, but I really believe that we have a lot of untapped potential. I really believe there's so much we can be. There's such a great impact we can have on the world. We can be a great example of what is possible. And so for me, I want to live it all out. Like I want to maximize my potential. I want to stretch it all the way to the end. I want to at the end of my days go like there's no difference really between who I became and who I could have become. Like they're the same person. And so that's what drives me. That's what makes me embrace fears, dare fears, and just go and do the things. And so when there are things that nag at me and it seems like this won't go away, this is part of what I should do, this is part of my contribution to the world, I just embrace it. I embrace all of it and go for it. So that's why there are a lot of slashes, and there are probably many more slashes to come because I'm chasing me. I'm chasing becoming me. So it's an infinity game.
Wow, man, I'm trying to catch up with the notes. This is awesome. Die empty. You remind me of the phrase that say that the grave is where a lot of geniuses, I guess, go
Yeah,
to waste.
greatest potential, the richest place on the planet is the
Planet
grave.
is the graveyard.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that you're going to be one of the exceptions. The rate at which you're going, and what a perfect person to talk about the topics we're doing, because right now what is driving you is your desire to die empty, to make sure you exhaust every capacity, every tool at your disposal. I don't know if you guys are catching this. This is big. You could take time to rewind and re-listen because this is good. So next question for you, Doc. Why set goals? We're talking about goals. What's the point? Why do we do that?
Well, so when I think about it, I think about how we're not static. We're very dynamic. When we think about ourselves, we think about like a toy house. A toy house is a toy house. It's made. It is what it is, right? If it sucks, it sucks. If it's great, it's great. But we're
Right.
more like Play-Doh, right? Like you build something, don't like it. Let's switch it up and make it something else. That is really how humans are. And so you can live a life that is a wasted life or a spent life, like you kind of just went with the punches, you kind of rolled with whatever happened. Or you can live an invested life where it's on purpose. You're like, I'm going to transform and become this person. And goals, that's kind of the way you do that, right? Because we have the ability to define an end and line up with that end. It's just so amazing. It's so simple, but it's so profound. When I think about myself, right? You've heard my story many times. It started off as, a super shy, socially awkward, introverted introvert. Didn't think I could speak on stage. Was very ashamed of my thoughts. Like I wouldn't put them out there because I'm like, oh, they'll judge them. They're not really that serious. Like who wants to listen to me and things like that. But how did I go from that person to a person who is a podcaster, right? Who dominates on stages, who's spoken on stages with as many as 1,000 people? Like, how does that transition happen? We can experience transformations like that, metamorphoses like that in our lives if we'll be goal setters. So it's that thing that changes everything. No matter where you are, no matter your background, no matter your disadvantages, no matter the family you came from, no matter the mistakes, you can set an intention. It's a right given to us as humans. You can set an intention and go after that intention. And not only could you hit it, but you can also, because you're in that process, attract all these other things that you couldn't have even bargained for. There are many things happening in my life right now that it was never a goal. But in the process of chasing one goal, that goal has happened. So I mean, that's why. That's why it's the best adventure. That's how you trigger the adventure.
And it makes life richer and more fulfilling. And so for those of you who are watching, I'm hoping that even if all you get, because there's a lot to get, even for the few minutes we started talking, is that you should open your mind to the possibility of becoming more and set goals higher than where you currently are. If that's all you get, you've gotten a lot. I also remember a time where goals were not something. I wanted to be a doctor and that was it. And that was just la di da di da. And then, you get exposed to people. You see what people are doing and you're challenged and say, you know what else could I be doing to add more value to my sphere of influence? What more can I do to impact this world? And as you start to think like that, doors open, your mindsets, expand, and anything is possible. This is not woo-woo talk. For those of
No,
you who
not
are
at
watching,
all.
it's not you teach this in class, Dr. Tuna. When you look at people who are doing things, you see that they also have goals. So watch people doing things and follow what they're doing. And I'm glad I follow you, Dr. Una. Okay. My next question for someone who's watching, oh my goodness, I have a lot of things to do. Now you're saying I have to set goals. It sounds like I've got to be not spontaneous or it's more pressure on me. So when you see someone or you hear someone who's saying that the idea of goal setting can put unnecessary and unwanted pressure on me and I don't want that, what would you say to that person now?
So the thing about life is there will always be pressure. Okay. So there's the pressure of becoming now, or the pressure of, oh my goodness, I'm at the end of my life and I didn't become. There will be pressure one way or another. But we get to choose. The pressure of becoming is a lot less than the pressure of I didn't become. Like imagine you're 90 and you think about all these things you secretly wanted to do and you didn't do them. And now you realize like all those fears I had, they were not legit. Like they were not real. I shouldn't, like I should have just done it. But you're 90. You don't have the time to chase after it, right? You're like, I should have used my youth to do all of those things. That's pressure there. But there's pressure over here. Like I have the energy, and I have the time. We may think we don't have time, but we have time, right? I have the time and I can go after this. If you recognize that there'll be pressure either way, then you choose what pressure you want, right?
Mm.
Same way they describe regret. They describe pain. There's a pain of discipline to do what you should do now. There's a pain of regrets because you didn't, and it's harvest time. You have nothing to show for it. And so, is there pressure to it? Is there discomfort to it? Yes. But everything great comes with discomfort. And so, one of the things I talk about a lot is the sooner you get to this place where you embrace discomfort, the better. Because it's almost like we're sitting and going like, how can I get what is the fastest route to comfort? But that's where dreams go to die. That's where destinies go to die. That's where, like, it's a horrible place, this comfort zone, horrible. And so the sooner we come to terms with anything worthwhile is going to cost me and I'm willing to pay the price, the sooner we get there, the better.
Mm.
Right. And so, yes, there is pressure. It's not as much as you think, because a lot of it is a mindset thing. Like, oh, I just want to be comfortable, but you don't actually. right? Because nothing great happens in comfort. Nothing. And so if you can sit in that pressure and sit in the discomfort, embrace it, and it feels a little icky in the beginning, if you can do that long enough, you get to a place where you're talking like Dr. Totally is excited talking about goals. I'm excited talking about goals. We're like, ooh, this is amazing, right? And so you get to that place where you fall in love with it. Yeah.
Step outside your comfort zone. Be encouraged. And it's good to have good company to do that with you. So that's a topic for a different life. All right. So you alluded to this earlier, but my next question is, how common is goal setting? Is it for the select few? Because we're both doctors. People are wondering, like maybe you guys, what would you say to that person who's like, it's not for me?
Yeah. Okay. So this is the deal, right? When it comes to the things that make people ultra successful, many of them are accessible to everybody. This is something that most people don't realize. It's accessible to everybody. What do you need to set goals? You need you need a pen, you need a paper, and you need direction, like what you're getting today. That's it. Right? Now, if you look at the numbers, there's a Harvard study, which I find fascinating till today. 83% of people do not set goals.
Hmm.
And if there's anything you want to observe is when you see what the masses do, quote unquote. I'm not saying this in a disrespectful way at all, but when you see what most people do, don't do that. Do the opposite. And then you join the 1%ers or the 3%ers or the 10%ers. Okay, so 83% don't write goals at all. They don't have goals. Like it's not even in their mind. They don't have them. 14% have them in their mind, but they're not written down. 3% have them and they're written down. Do you know that after this Facebook Live right now, you can go get pen and paper, you can set your goals, and you're automatically a 3%er? Like, see how low the barrier to entry is, right? So the thing is, yes, many people may not set goals. Yes, you may see many successful people and you're like, those are the kinds of people who set goals. But are they successful because they set goals? Or do they set goals because they're successful? Like, you know what I mean? And so if you notice the successful people are the people who set goals, you can join that class like right now by writing your goals. Like really. And so yes, few people do it. And it's so strange because what do people talk about every year at the end of the year, at the beginning of the year? Goals. But still, so few people would have the discipline to sit down and do it. Like set a timer for 30 minutes, sit down, put pen to paper, get your goals done, and you have started your journey to becoming an ultra successful person. The barrier to entry is that low.
Pen and paper, you heard it, guys and ladies. Pen and paper or pencil
Or crayon, like whatever works for you.
whatever works for you. All right, so let's get to the how. So what would you say are the first steps to goal setting? You already said pen and paper, but what if someone's like, I don't know, how do I start? I want to be a millionaire, or I want to have a mansion. What would you say first steps?
Yeah, so I mean, so the first thing is, the way I do it, right, is the first step is really to take time to dream. And again, this is something that people don't do regularly, or life is beating you like blue black and you're like, I don't dream anymore. You know what I mean? The first step is to kind of dream like, what if I had my way? What would my life look like? Right. And I talk about, you've heard me talk about this. I talk about the 9 categories. And you can put this in the notes, but really it's spiritual, it's family, it's ministry. When I say ministry, I don't mean pulpit. I just mean what you do to impact your world. It's your finances, it's your business or career, your health, your social capital, which are your relationships, your personal development, fun, right? Like, so there are 9 areas, and you start dreaming each of these buckets. Like, what could my family look like? Oh, but you haven't met my husband. No, no, no. We're not talking about that. What could it look like? What could my kids' lives look like? What kind of money could I have in savings? How much could I have in investment? How much could I earn? How much could I give away? How much would I weigh? What would my fitness level be? Like all of those things is just allowing yourself to move away from the present, right? Because the present produces the present. It's already here. but you can predetermine a different future. And so it's just allowing yourself to dream. There's no right or wrong. Nobody's grading the paper. Just allow yourself to dream,
Mm.
right? And then after you've allowed yourself to go there, then you now want to start setting smart goals, right? Like, so you may think, okay, for the next 12 months, right? This is what I want to accomplish. But in that, it's less of a dream, and it's more concise. Meaning, so if you think about smart goals, right? It means that it's specific, it's measurable, it's actionable, it's realistic, and it's time bound,
Mm.
right? And so you're putting like like I don't say I will, I say it as if it's already happened, right? So I spend an hour in prayer every day. I go on a date night every week with my husband. I impact 150 people through, my nonprofit. Do you see what I mean? Like that. I weigh X number of pounds. I run one 5K a quarter, like things like that. So it's stuff that when you hit it, right? And
Mm.
then so that would be the second step to the goal setting process. I want to talk about one more step, because we can't cover all of them, but I want to talk about one more step that people miss. And that is the step of building relationships with their goals.
Mm.
So people set goals. I've done this, right? In 2014 or 2015, I don't remember the year. I set goals, and then December 31st, I was like, now let's set goals for the next year. And I started, writing them out and all of those things. And then I looked at the goals from the year I was in and the goals that I just set for the next year, and they were the same. They were the same goals because I had not looked at them again. I had not done anything about them. I just wrote them on a pretty piece of paper and left them there. Right. So was I busy all year long? Yes. Was I like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy, I don't have time? Yes. Did I accomplish the things I said to accomplish? No, because I didn't even remember what the goals were. Right. And so building a relationship with your goals looks like, oh, I have a vision board, or I write it out every day, or I have conversations with my mentors about it to develop plans for it. If you're a person of faith, I pray over them. I'm like, Lord, I need your help with this.
Mhm.
It's sitting and imagining. I have imagining times. I put my sneakers on, open my door, take a walk, and I'm just taking the goals one at a time and just traveling to a time when they've already happened. What does that look like? What does that feel like? And all of that. Because the more you do that, the more real it becomes, the more your subconscious it is, the more you download ideas on how to make them happen. But if you don't have that relationship, it's kind of like, did you set goals? Yeah, but that's it. So I build a relationship with my goals. So it's top of mind, right? So for me, I do the vision board. I look at them every day. I have many imagination sessions because we imagine all the time. It's just that a lot of times we don't make our imagination work for us. So that's a critical piece, right? And then again, of course, action, 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 right? If you're going to set it, then you're going to develop a plan and you're going to get to work on it. But if you do that, my goodness, what you can accomplish in a year will shock you. Shock you.
I concur. I concur. There's a lot to dissect from what you said. I'm happy this is recorded so people can watch and take notes and really listen. The irony of some of the things we're talking about is they seem simple and very but they're so powerful. So I'm encouraging you watching as you share, as you rewatch, that you take these things and put them to practice consistently, and you will see the results as well. All right, Doc, we need your help. We're going to do practical right now. So
All
we're going
right,
to
let's
talk
do it.
body, two body goals, um, physical. So for someone's health, so body. So two goals. Give us an example and what to set. That makes sense.
Yeah, so body goals are great because our bodies, that's our earth suit. And once we don't have the body anymore, we have to leave. My husband says it this way, like when we're young, we spend all our time chasing money and then we turn around and then use all the money to get our health back. So we might as well pay attention to the health. And so for some people, that may look like a weight goal, right? Like, so maybe someone's like, man, I need to lose 10 pounds. Okay, let's use that as an example. Now, when you're setting your goal, there is nothing motivating about needing to lose 10 pounds, right? So I would never put it that way. Rather, I would say I weigh 148 pounds, right? Like, because that's like, oh, so let's do it. Like, that's like, let's get into action. Let's do something. Lose 10 pounds, like, oh, and I tried before and it didn't work and blah, 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 blah. So, you know what I mean? And so usually when I set my goals, I put it in a way as if it already happened. That way, every time I'm looking at it, it's empowering, right? And so I weigh 148 pounds. Like, so say that's that's the way that we would put it. Now when we do that, I will point out that once you're done defining where you want to go, then you start thinking about, what do I want to do to get there, and all of that, right? So I just want to, we're not getting into that, but I want to make sure everybody's clear on that. And no matter how the baby step is, baby steps are so much better than no steps, right? And baby steps add up. Okay. So that could be a thing. Now, maybe you're not about the whole weight thing, but you're like, but I want to be more fit. I want to be more toned and stuff like that. And so maybe your thing is, I shave off, 20 inches, or I shave off 40 inches. Because for some people, they don't want to do the scale, right? They don't want to talk about that number. They don't want to do that. So maybe it's an inches thing that you use. Maybe for you, you're like, as far as my weight and my tone and all that, that's really good. But I just want to have a higher level of activity, right? And it could be, I run 5K a quarter. That may be your thing, but they're so specific, they're so tangible that you can run after them. Do you see what I mean? And so things like that. For many people, it may be as simple as, I'm compliant with all my health checks, right? Which means I saw my doctor, and if you're in Mansfield, I'm guessing that's Dr. Tolu. It should be. Okay, so I saw my doctor, I saw my OBGYN, I saw my dentist, the age appropriate screenings, colonoscopies, mammograms, all of that. I did all of those. And that's just your thing, because like there are so many people that don't keep up with their health, right, at all. And that may just be your thing. Like this year, this is the year that I don't just talk about prioritizing my health, I actually prioritize my health, right? And so it could be goals like that.
Awesome. Key point, a lot of key points you mentioned, but you got to put the steps to the goal. Very important, the goal and the steps to it. What are the 2 or 3 things I'm going to do to achieve this? All right. So 2 goals, Doc. You're on.
Yeah. Now, since you brought up the step thing, let me just throw this out real quick. When you set your goals, you're not doing the steps at the same time. So when you're doing your dreaming, you're doing just that. Then when you come to the goals, you're doing just that. Then when you come to your steps, you're doing that. And really, you can practice what we call mind storming, where you're like, well, what if I pulled this goal off? What are 20 things that I could do to pull it off? And, you're going to, the first 10, you probably go through easy. The next 5, you probably sweat real hard. And the last 5, you may sweat blood, but it makes you really good at thinking, and you get the juiciest ideas. Like, so when you're done with the 20, you can pick 2 or 3 and you're like, okay, these are the things I'm going to do to get there. Right. And so again, they say that, thinking is the hardest work there is. That's why so few do it. But then it also has the biggest return on investment, right? So it's something you want to get in the habit of doing. So, okay, so let's talk about soul. So when we talk about soul, we're talking about, your mind, your will, your emotions, stuff like that. Every year I would set a personal development goal every year. And I learned this from Brian Tracy, and he would pick one thing. He's like, this year is time management. I'm like, what do you mean? The whole year time management? Like, what is that? Right. But the thing is, once you gain proficiency in one area, you get proficiency in a lot of other areas. That's just the way it works. And so for you, what would be the most important thing for you to, like new skill for you to acquire, or new body of knowledge? Dr. Tolu, I'm all about, I want to help 100,000 physicians and stuff like that. And so for 2023, my personal development project is understanding movements. Like, how do you create a movement? How do you lead a movement? How do you sustain a movement? Right. And so that's my one thing, the mind upgrade, right, that I'm going to be doing as far as my soul goes. Right. And so you can pick something. For you, it might be time management. For you, it might be relationships, right? Like you're in a marriage and you're struggling with that, or your kids, you're struggling with that, or how do I climb the corporate ladder, right? Like, so there are things, you pick one, right? But then again, when it comes to the soul, there's a big part of it that is relationships, right? Like that's something that feeds our souls like nothing else. And really, when you get up there in age, like, so I always talk about, when you're 90, when you think about it, people are not like, man, I wish I made more money. It's like, I
Yeah.
wish I spent more time with my family. But, like, you know what I mean? And I developed those relationships, and I was kinder and things like that. And those are things you want to start cultivating now, right? And so your relationship with your family, what's that like? Your relationship with mentors, mentees, colleagues, what is that like? You're like, people don't like me. It's not possible people don't like you, right? Like, they're people skills, and those can be learned. And if you learn them, you create this place where you have a life that is full of love and is full of joy. And I cannot imagine a balm for the soul that is better than that, right? Like, there's love, there's joy, there's people you can talk to when they're trying times, there are people you can go through it with, and all of that. So definitely relationships, right? And that could look like, maybe you're, I was an introvert, so I didn't do people. And I may have some people who are like, I don't do people like me. You can let me know in the comments. But so I didn't do people, but I got to a place where I was like, okay, this year is the year where I'm going to build an inner circle of 12 people, right?
Mm.
My own inner circle of 12 people I can trust, I can talk to, I can let down my hair with, and all of those kind of things. That is a valid goal, right? This year I'm going to have a better relationship with my husband now, or wife or whatever, but you can define what that's like. Or I will spend 80% of my evenings with my kids, investing in my kids. Like, those are tangible things you can do that'll make a huge, 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 huge difference.
Awesome. Because of time, because I didn't want us to miss the spirit goals. Beautiful, Doc. This is great. Goals for the spirit. What are examples? How would you define that?
Yeah, so I will use my examples. I'm a Christian, and you can extrapolate it as you need to. For me, my most important relationship is my relationship with God. And so if that is true, though, that means I spend time with him every day, right? And that could be as simple as I pray for at least 30 minutes a day, I pray for an hour a day, or whatever that is for you. And that would be a spiritual goal. There's also the piece of how you show up, right? Like, the virtues and character that you cultivate, right? And so I may say, this new year is a year where I practice walking in love,
Mm.
joy, and peace every day, right? And so I'm practicing that, and so that I'm looking more like the one I say I follow. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
True. True. Wow. Wow. This has been awesome. I wish we had more time, but definitely Dr. Una would be inviting you again for a part two and many other parts. And I know people are watching and they're like, wow, this doctor is phenomenal. And I hear she helps docs as well. Doc, where can people find you? How can people connect with you as a speaker, as a mentor, as a coach, heck, as all your hats? Where can people find you, Doc?
yeah, so my website is entremd.com. So ENTREMD.com. And then, so there, tons of ways to contact me there. But if you are a physician, there is a podcast that we call the Free MBA that you definitely want to listen to. It's called the EntreMD Podcast. So ENTREMD, EntreMD Podcast. And if you are a person of faith and an entrepreneur, then there's a God in Your Business podcast, both podcasts where I go and talk shop all day, every day, and I'd be happy to connect. So yes, and of course on social media, you can always send me a DM. I'm like a little teenager with my DMs and PMs.
Thank you so much for coming. This was very, very powerful. I appreciate you, Doc. And thank you all, those who are watching. And I really appreciate you, Dr. Ona, because I know you're busy. You took the time to come and spend with us and pour. So thank you so much for coming. This was
Thank
great.
you. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you all for watching. Mitra, Amanda, I see you all. Thank you. And for those who are watching who didn't comment and I can't see, thank you for joining. Of course, remember, sharing is caring. So please tag those who could use this, forward it, and share far and wide. And if you or anyone you know is looking for an awesome and a thorough and caring family physician here in the Mansfield, Texas area, I am she. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a good one.